Welcome to the Newshour Agenda. I'm Madhavdas G. Viewers, amidst the diplomatic face-off between India and Canada, another challenges surfaced for India, this time from the United States. FBI has alleged that a former RNAW agent, Vikash Yadav, was involved in a plot to kill a Khalistani terrorist, Gurpatwan Singh Pannun. The US agency has also put out a wanted poster for Vikash Yadav, who's a former employee of the Government of India's Cabinet Secretariat, which also houses India's external intelligence agency, RNAW. While Yadav is still at large, his alleged co-conspirator, Nikhil Gupta, is in US custody for trying to hire a hitman to kill Pannun. However, the Ministry of External Affairs has clarified that Vikash Yadav, named by the US Justice Department's indictment regarding the assassination plot, is no longer an employee of the Indian government. The United States seems to be satisfied with the response given by India, with the State Department affirming the same. However, the opposition in our own country doesn't seem to be quite convinced and has put the entire onus on India, calling it a failure of the quote-unquote Desi, James Bond and MEA. Congress even demanded a legal framework to give a proper legal architecture to our intelligence agencies. Listen in to the accusations hurled by the opposition bloc.
When the US government and the FBI puts an Indian citizen in the FBI's most wanted list, it is a glaring failure of diplomatic relations, and not only that, it exposes the incompetence and ineptitude of our foreign policy.
भारत के एजेंसीज के ऊपर इस तरह के आरोप, इस तरह के गंभीर आरोप कभी नहीं लगे हैं। हम चाहते हैं कि जल्द से जल्द सर्वदलीय बैठक बुलाया जाए और इस दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण मामले के ऊपर पूरा खुलासा हो।
Again moved a private member's bill, which has been updated and which is holistic in nature, that provides for a legal framework to give a proper legal architecture to our intelligence agencies, and also provides for a very, very robust framework of parliamentary oversight.
Now, the BJP has hit out at opposition parties for playing with national security. The BJP has also questioned the opposition if they were with India or not.
देखिए, तृणमूल कांग्रेस जो काम कर रही है, मुझे लगता है कि देश की सुरक्षा के साथ एक खिलवाड़ है। उसमें टीएमसी के सांसद और नेता एक के बाद एक जो सोशल मीडिया पे डाल रहे हैं, एक सैंडल पे यूज करके, हमें ये थोड़ा समझने में तकलीफ हो रही है कि टीएमसी किस तरफ है, अपने देश भारत के साथ है कि दूसरी तरफ से खेल रहे हैं।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And for more of this, let's go right across to our guest. Joining us, we have with us RP Singh, BJP spokesperson. Also with us is Ramnik Singh Mann, political analyst. With us is Syed Asad Abbas, political analyst. Professor Manojit Mandal is a political analyst. Joining us, Imran Ahmed Ali is a lawyer with us on the broadcast. But let me start first and foremost with Ravi Srivastava, political analyst as well. Ravi Srivastava, many questions as to whether, and this is what the BJP is asking, is whether the opposition parties are with India or not on such an important issue. Is it really necessary to politicize it, given its own diplomatic and security ramifications? Ravi Srivastava.
Yeah, good evening, Madhav. First of all, yesterday everybody was jumping in the chair, saying that what Trudeau has said, that he doesn't have a solid evidence, but he has got his intel report and all that. I think what government, I'm unable to comprehend what government of India is trying to hide. This appears to be an open and shut case. The FBI has put up a notice for wanted criminal Vikash Yadav. The government gives a statement, look, he is not in our employment now. It means he was in your employment earlier. He was in your employment earlier. What he was doing? What is his job? His job was to give a hitman job in $1 lakh in US in connivance with the co-conspirator Nikhil Gupta, who has been now from Belgium to US, has been extradited. So he was doing $1 lakh. He was giving it $15,000 were given in advance. What is all this?
No, Ravi Srivastava, one second. Ravi
Srivastava
should bring. Ravi Srivastava, nobody is denying he was a Government of India employee. The Ministry of External Affairs said so on record. The question here is, why are you linking this with Trudeau? How are the two cases linked?
I'm not linking anything. What I'm saying is that India's diplomacy is in a complete mess. Because it's not that Trudeau said, I don't have an evidence. See, it's not an international court of justice. Your two prime ministers are talking, two governments are talking. He says, I had my intel. Fine, you investigate further.
Well, I don't know how this case can go to the International Court of Justice in my limited understanding. But Ramnik Mann, it's a complete failure of Indian diplomacy, says Ravi Srivastava. Do you agree with him?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, in any country which is run by democracy and rule-based order, an individual is considered innocent till proven guilty. He has not gone to trial. There are not sufficient evidences presented against them. So how can Ravi Srivastava or anybody else for that matter come up forward and say that, look, this is a complete disaster? As a matter of fact, you know, it is all but hearsay. It's the same hearsay which was talked about when, WMDs were alleged to be in Iraq, and when, Syria and Iran and other countries have been put under the sanctions by the US. The West is trying to exert pressure on India to be on its side and not be on the side of Russia in the Russia-Ukraine war. As a matter of fact, India is not even on the Russian side. India is taking a neutral stand. It's taking a pro-India stand. And that is where the whole arm twisting begins. Well, so far as Trudeau is concerned, I believe the Canadians, by and large, have their reputation in tatters, and Canadians have shot themselves in the foot. As a matter of fact, they have their foot in their mouths, to be honest, Madhav, because they have not been able to bring about any credible evidence. Allegations at one side, but evidences is another story.
Yeah.
Well, not to forget also, Madhav, that US is going to polls next month, and Canada have their elections next year. And the same Canadians and the United States of America who are permitting designated terrorists of this country with over 26 requests for extradition, 29 requests for arrests, and several dossiers of evidences. Imagine India going on front foot and releasing a name every few days of people with their criminal records.
I don't think there's even a comparison to be made over there. Ramnik Mann,
and escalating matters to the Prime Minister's level.
Right.
I mean, just imagine. Can you imagine the Indian Prime Minister going on in the Parliament telling that these are the designated terrorists? No, we don't do it. Because we are a mature democracy. We're not like Canada, we're not like the United States.
Yeah.
We're the largest democracy in the world and we behave like one.
No, but to be fair, even the United States has not done what Trudeau has done. I mean, you don't have Biden or Kamala Harris coming out to say that so and so persons are, persons who are wanted in India, so on and so forth. And Ravi Srivastava, the question that's being asked is this, that, when you have leaders coming out and making all sorts of claims, opposition leaders, it is at the end of the day an issue that affects all Indians. And if the government has cooperated with the United States, perhaps they've given evidence, perhaps there's reason for the Indian government to have acted, and the Ministry of External Affairs has been quite open and transparent about it. Where's the question of finding fault? And we certainly shouldn't be equating that with Canada, which has given absolutely no evidence.
Madhav, charges have been leveled by the US prosecution. Now, it's not a question that whether Indian political parties are with Mr. Modi or not. They are with the government. They have said it already. Yesterday, Congress statement is there that we stand by the government, whatever action you take. But now the stage has come where diplomats have been sacked from both sides. It is not a normal diplomacy. The situation has become grave. And you have to see then when people are standing by him in the US, that Australia is making statements, UK is making a statement. There is a scope that these agencies now should come under the preview of the parliament, which is happening in most of the democracies, because such things are very, serious. There were very critical things happening, and the government is just hiding everything, keeping under the carpet. They should call the parliament session immediately and tell to the parliamentarians, you must have read the statements by Mahua Moitra or Sagarika Ghosh, that they are demanding this.
Okay.
And the Congress is also demanding this. The stage has come where the government should come out, transparently before its own parliamentarians.
Right. I think that's a claim that has been made, particularly even by Manish Tiwari and others. And let me put that question across to RP Singh. RP Singh, is that a fair demand that very many, including Manish Tiwari, says that during the budget session of 2011, I had moved a private member's bill, which was exhaustive, comprehensive, holistic exercise in order to set our intelligence structures on a legal footing and provide for parliamentary oversight. Unfortunately, that bill lapsed when I moved to government and became a minister. Then again in 2021 in winter session, I had again moved a bill with the same intent. After updating it, that bill also lapsed when the last Lok Sabha was dissolved in 2024, and it goes on to talk about in August of 2024, etc. In the monsoon session of the current Lok Sabha, I've again moved the private member's bill that provides for a legal framework to give proper legal architecture to our intelligence agencies and a robust framework of parliamentary oversight. It's an idea whose time has come. How do you respond to this idea, RP Singh?
Well, Mr. Manish Tiwari is the same person who raised question on China's intervention against the detail being mentioned by the then General of the Army, saying that not an inch of land has been occupied by the China. But Mr. Manish Tiwari in the parliament said, no, I have records with me, I have the evidence with me, whereas when asked, he couldn't do anything on that record. But fact is that what are they asking for? They're the same people who asked the question for the surgical strike. They're the same people who asked the question on the air strike also. At that time, when government of India was saying that we did surgical strike, Indian Army was saying that we did surgical strike, they said, no, you never did surgical strike. You never did air strike. Now, some foreign government is saying something. Justice Trudeau, I was just hearing Mr. Srivastava, he's justifying Prime Minister Trudeau. Saying, no, Mr. Trudeau or the Prime Minister Trudeau is saying whatever he's saying is right. He has credible intel. Sir, there's a difference in credible intel and the evidence. You have to understand that. And we have been asking for the evidence. And in support of whom? People who killed the Canadians and Indians both. You remember that 1985 plot? Nijjar was part of it. Ripu Daman Singh was part of it. And then Parmar was part of it. So they are the people, and then it's on record. And then they have been let off by the court after many years in the Canada. But fact is, they'll support anything for that regard. And then talking about this guy named, give me a second, talking about this guy named Vikash Yadav, the ex-raw guy. If anyone has some level of patriotism and he has taken some initiative which is not within the framework of the law, government of India is doing needful, and the government of US is satisfied with the actions of the government of India. When given to me, even I have hatred for Pannu, but I abide by the law, but I have great hatred for the man who want to divide my country. But they all have love for Pannu. Now they are supporting Pannu in a way by raising question on people like Vikash Yadav, his integrity. Why are you supporting people who want to divide the country on the name of Khalistan?
Okay, one second. Syed Astabas, many points being made by RP Singh, but 2-3 points. When there are evidence against India's action on, what has happened in foreign soil, you raise questions. Now, when a person like Pannun, there is, who talks about breaking up India, when a case relating to him or action against him, you're indirectly supporting people like Pannun by raising questions when it comes to Vikash Yadav. Do you agree with the BJP spokesperson's contention?
I absolutely do not agree with RP Singh साहब, बड़े भाई हैं, लेकिन मैं आपको कहना चाहूँगा, and of course the viewers of Times Now, that undoubtedly, like the statement made by the chief spokesperson of the Congress party, Shri Pawan Khera ji, he made it very clear. He was categorical in saying that when it comes to matters of national security and interest, the Congress party and stands with the government of India. The fact that absolutely no, sir, asking questions to the government in power does not mean that we support or hold any close rights with Pannu. Pannu undoubtedly is a separatist. That's that. And of course, we love our country and we won't want it divided.
Terrorist and separatist also is quite a big degree of separation, by the way.
Absolutely. Now coming to the very important point, sir, this whole debate about that we raise, I think Manish Tiwari was quite articulate in making a point. Let me quote what he said. Parliamentary oversight over India's intelligence structures is an idea whose time has come. All across the world, every intelligence agency and law enforcement structures are provided with a proper legal architecture and is subjected to robust parliamentary oversight. Also, the statement made by many of the opposition leaders, we need to understand that the Modi government, since they are in power, when it comes to matters of national interest, they need to take the parliament with them. There needs to be a parliamentary oversight. And bills like these, which are raised by Manish Tiwari, need to come through. It's unfortunate that this opposition leader, he tried in 2011, yet again he tried even during Modi's government and so on and so forth, it did not come through. I think bills like these raise a certain structure so that all political parties stand in one united front, sacrosanct stand that we stand for oneness. That is very important. Like Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji had once said, matbed hona chahiye, matbed nahi. It's very important that all the parties coming together and taking ahead. The fact, one simple fact that the BJP needs to understand is undoubtedly they are the ruling dispensation. But what harm is it if you're able to take the political leaders and the parties together and bring about this stand? That is my simple question, RP Singh Sahab. If you could answer me on that front, sir.
Right. No, before I come across to you, I want to bring in fact, Professor Manojit Mandal, because Professor Manojit Mandal, you have Sagarika Ghosh who's also saying that we must go according to a rules-based world order. You know, it's also a fact that there are other countries such as the United States, and I'm certainly not advocating that we go beyond our jurisdictional limits, but it is a fact that several other countries such as the United States, where the US whistleblower Edward Snowden revealed the extensive and aggressive nature of the NSA data mining operations that targeted India in March 2013. These operations utilized two powerful tools, Boundless Informant and PRISM, that gave them easy access to personalized information on non-US nationals through big tech companies. The big question is that, you know, when the United States, a so-called great nation itself, has faced significant criticism for this kind of violation when it comes to the country's sovereignty, the big question is that can you then take a high moral ground when you have other nations that have been accused? In fact, we all remember what Salman Khurshid said at that point of time. He said that it's not actually snooping. So where is the high moral ground then?
I think, Madhav, it's high time that the government of India should answer the parliament about if this is at all in an international embarrassment or not. It's high time, because let me tell you that in the last 6-7 months, starting from the case in Bangladesh and now in Canada and USA, the foreign policy of the government of India is going absolutely haywire. And they must take the opposition on board. When the opposition in entirety are supporting the government on this front, they must answer the parliament what is really going on. Bangladesh is a humongous failure. Let us acknowledge this. We could not help Bangladesh in any way. I mean, by using our intelligence, what was going on there. They were dependent on Indian soil, the Indian contingent. We could not do that. I'm not really talking about Trudeau, because Trudeau is known for making this kind of, wild kind of statement. But when it comes to USA, which is a very friendly country of India, I think that has to be taken seriously. And in fact, even my friend from BJP actually acknowledged that perhaps this person was killed by Vikash Yadav. He actually on your show, he literally latently saying that he might have been killed by Vikash Yadav. I mean, what are you saying?
No.
True? And now on the same breath, you are also saying that.
So there was a plot. There was no killing. Let's stick to the facts, please. There was an alleged plot, and the indictment, of course, has all the details. Nobody is getting into that. But I want to bring you, Professor Mandal, on one point that you said. You said that opposition is standing firmly with the government. The party that you support, TMC, several leaders have made extremely controversial statements today. Riju Datta of the TMC spokesperson says that Desi James Bond has failed again. Ministry of External Affairs has failed again. Mahua Moitra comes out to, say that somewhere or the other, Shah and companies think that the globe is Gujarat and Sohrabuddin style tactics are the way to go. Now, these are responsible spokespersons and members of parliament. What kind of support is this? I do not understand.
Since I support the party, the official stand of the party is very clear. When it comes to the external affairs, only the top leadership like Mamata Banerjee and Abhishek Banerjee will speak, right? No other leader's contention will be taken quite seriously as a stand of the party.
Spokespersons are not reflecting the party stand?
The spokesperson can ask the questions. I think Ms. Sagarika Ghosh has pointed
members of parliament
questions to the government. I mean, they have raised a very legitimate question. I can talk about Sagarika Ghosh's statement, which is a very sensible, legitimate question. You have to answer to the parliament. What are we doing? Because the questions are being raised by trade unions now, especially here. And this is happening in the constitutional level.
All right. The question of
constitutional level.
The question once again coming back to parliamentary accountability, Ramnik Mann.
The report that Trudeau was talking about. This is happening at the constitutional level.
All right, let's bring in Ramnik Mann. Ramnik Mann, are these statements of support? These are of course maybe spokespersons or members of parliament, but only the party's leadership will set the party's or bring the party's stand clear in the public domain, point number one. And point number two, once again, the contention of parliamentary oversight, and it's not something that is unknown or unseen. There is parliamentary oversight in many of the great democracies over the world as far as our agencies are concerned. Is that a fair ask?
Yeah. Okay, so, the United States of America has over 438, federal agencies over the past about 200 something years that they have been a democracy for. So they create over 2 federal agencies every year. That apart, now coming back to your specific question of parliamentary oversight. So let's be very clear that, did somebody from the Congress party or Manish Tiwari ever step up and ask what was the agreement signed between the CCP and the Indian National Congress when Rahul Gandhi was a signatory to it? Nobody did that. Number two, well, when they talk about parliamentary democracy or oversight, did you hear the debate between Justin Trudeau and the opposition leader Perry Polliver today? You would know that parliamentary oversight or matters related to national security or national interest would come to a parliamentary committee where you have to have people who are sensitized to it, not people who would come on television and talk about the matters which are very sensitive to national security. Not that I am saying that India is involved or not, like RP Singh Saab rightly said, even I am angry, but the matter of fact still remains, sir, Madhav, is that Rahul Gandhi goes to the US, he makes statements which are then picked up by Gurpatwant Pannu and used. And let me remind all the panelists today that as far as India is concerned, Gurpatwant Pannu is a designated terrorist. His organization, SFJ, is a designated terror organization. He is somebody who's been asking for the balkanization of India, the breakaway of Punjab from India. And need I remind the Congress party who created the monster of the Sikh separatist movement? Who were the people who orchestrated all this? It was them. So let's talk about parliamentary oversight with a lot of, reasoning and sense of responsibility.
Right.
Let's not use it loosely.
All right.
The fact remains is that we are surrounded. Let me just finish.
Quickly complete.
We are surrounded by an enemy nation where we have designated terrorists right across the border, and these are the same people who are asking for evidence on surgical strikes.
Right.
And these are the people who are talking about evidences now.
Okay, I think the point about evidence on surgical strikes was made earlier by RP Singh, but I want to bring in Imran Ahmad Ali. Once again, Ramnik Mann, you made a number of points. Please allow me to bring in Imran Ahmad Ali. Imran Ahmad Ali, here comes the contentious part. When you talk about parliamentary oversight, you also have a responsibility, or you also have a duty to be responsible. What's being stated here by Mr. Mann is that the example he's giving is when Rahul Gandhi went abroad, and he's talked about, now is the larger question is the fight is, if I can quote him, whether a Sikh will be allowed to wear his turban in India. And at the same time, you have Khalistani terrorists such as Gurpatwant Singh Pannun endorsing Rahul Gandhi's threat. He says that those comments are bold and pioneering. The statement on existential threat to Sikhs in India is not only bold and pioneering, but also firmly grounded in the factual history of what Sikhs have been facing under successive regimes in India since 1947, and also corroborates SFJ's stand on the justification for Punjab independence referendum. The big question is, it's a duty for all to be responsible, sir. Mr. Imran Ahmad Ali.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, when we consider the whole issue, the problem here right now is that we're considering this as a government, pro-government and anti-government kind of an argument. We need to understand that this is not the time to be temperamental. This is the time that you, with diplomatic ties, considering who you're dealing with, your friendly nations who are a part of your bloc, you are trying to take them up heads on. Now see the same, at the beginning, you said, what is the connection between the situation in India with India, US and India and Canada? You need to consider that the US and the Canada are part of the same Five Eyes. So the intel that they share with each other is available to both of them. The extent may vary between the domestic and international amount of information that they're providing to each other. However, they're part of the same group. When we consider the whole situation with Vikash Yadav, CC1, we need to understand that this is somebody that we have verbally and formally acknowledged to have removed from the employment of the government of India, whereby meaning that we had him employed. Now, first, in front of the US, we have a very different diplomatic way. We send a committee, with our diplomatic ties. Here, we say, no, okay. Our basic understanding first needs to be that we need to treat both of them under the same plane. We need to understand that the way we've dealt with the US, we need to deal with Canada the same way. On that, the parliamentary oversight should not be considered as something that the opposition is saying. We all need to understand that we're all Indians first. A parliamentary oversight will benefit the opposition and the government in power equally. So there is no difference, or there should not be a difference of opinion on that. When we talk about parliamentary oversight, it is oversight for everyone. When we talked about Manish Tiwari, he did make a statement that in 2011, he pursued it, in 2021, he pursued it, and he's again moved a bill in August this year. Now, that should not be construed as something that the opposition is putting forward. That is something to the benefit all developed nations, all countries with that amount of intelligence. There has to be in parliamentary oversight. They say power corrupts, absolute power corrupts.
Why didn't it happen during the UPA regime or the previous Congress regimes then, sir?
Why didn't it happen? That entirely depends on the parliament. If it does not get introduced, if it does not get passed, I mean, just because something didn't happen a day ago doesn't mean you don't strive towards it today.
No, today, certainly it's a laudable. I'm not denying that it's not a laudable, initiative. But the problem is that all these idealistic thoughts only come to political parties and leaders when they're in opposition. When they're in government and they want to enjoy the spoils of power, then none of this actually matters. And I'm not distinguishing between political parties, by the way. However, I want to correct you on 2 points. When it comes to the United States, there's some amount of evidence that they have given, which in the case of Canada does not appear to be the case, Mr. Imran Ahmad Ali, and that somewhere or the other is the difference. Also, there's no rabble-rousing by their political leaders and the head of their governments, the Prime Minister, Mr. Trudeau, doing so in the case of Canada, which has really, of course, the saber-rattling or the bluster is really the difference in approach when it comes to the United States and Canada, and that's a very, very clear distinction that's been visible in the approach of these two countries. We'll have to wrap it up there. R.P. Singh, Ramnik Mann, Syed Asad Abbas, Professor Manojit Mandal, Imran Ahmad Ali and Ravi Srivastava, thanks so much for joining us on debate number 1 on the Newshour Agenda.